Now to Israel's war with Hamas. There are breaking developments to get to tonight. Israeli Defense Forces are calling on all residents of northern Gaza to evacuate their homes within 24 hours. This word coming to us from the United Nations. That warning affects more than 1 million people, and it's coming ahead of a feared Israeli ground offensive. Meantime, security is being ramped up after reports the terror group Hamas is calling for a day of rage tomorrow. No specific credible threats are being reported here in the United States, but patrols around many Jewish synagogues and schools are being beefed up. We have live team coverage of the impact at home and abroad, beginning with Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell. Amy.
Mark, tensions escalating tonight. People living in northern Gaza have received phone alerts advising them to evacuate their homes within 24 hours. That ominous warning from Israel's military saying residents should leave for their own safety. Israel's military forces continue to pound Gaza with airstrikes, hitting homes and other buildings used by Hamas in retaliation for the surprise terrorist attack that killed more than 1,200 Israelis. Near the site of a music festival in Israel, where Hamas massacred more than 260 people, ground troops surrounding a suspected militant today and taking him into custody.
We are now looking for all the terrorists that now hide. They don't want to go out and fight. They want to hide and keep on killing civilians.
The bombings leaving the Gaza Strip devastated. At least 1,500 people have been killed. More than 300,000 Palestinians left homeless. Supplies of food, water, and fuel dwindling.
Yesterday was very hard. There were a lot of bombings around us. One of them was about 150 meters from my house.
More than 6,000 people have been injured. Health officials in Gaza say hospitals are overwhelmed and running out of supplies. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu today, promising U.S. support for Israel.
As the war between Hamas and Israel continues, currently Israel has issued a warning to the citizens on the Gaza Strip that they have about 24 hours to leave the area, or 1.1 million people are going to be killed in the bombings by Israel. 1.1 million people. And it's important to understand that 50% of the citizens living on the Gaza Strip are under the age of 18 years old. 50% of them are minors. 50% of the people that are going to bomb in this area are children. And currently, the death toll for Palestinians on the Gaza Strip is over 2,000, with over 700 of them being children under the age of 15. This is our top ally. This is America's top ally. This is the person this is the country we're consistently funding. This is our ally. They're getting ready to bomb 1.1 million innocent people. They're not targeting Hamas, although they're Benjamin Netanyahu and the military are claiming that they're strictly attacking military Hamas, quote unquote, terrorists. There is currently proof that that is not true. And the question is, if it's okay for our top ally in Israel to kill civilians, innocent civilians, and they're not condemned. They're not being condemned on the news. There's no one on CNN. There's no politicians. There's no one condemning Israel for killing what we can confirm are innocent children. That doesn't seem to move anyone. But consistently, we're condemning Hamas and the Palestinians for what are equally as horrific crimes to commit. But the difference is they're not backed by one of the world's top superpower. The Palestinians, Hamas, they flew over on makeshift hovercrafts. This isn't even a competition between the two. They have the top superpower in the world they're up against right now. So we have to hold them to a higher standard. It's only right that we hold them to a higher standard, especially since our taxpayer dollars go to this country consistently. So it makes perfect sense for us to do that. But here is a video of how the evacuation plan was laid out. So 1.1 million people are going to be bombed. And currently, since they've cut off all the water, they've cut off electricity to Gaza, because Israel controls that. Israel controls their electricity and water. So they cut it all off, because I assume they kept control of it in case they'd ever need to do something like this. So they cut it off. And as a result, there's no way for the people in Gaza to receive any sort of messages. They can't get new information, they can't watch the news. So they dropped small notes, thousands of small notes from the sky, and they had to find them, pick them up, and read them to even learn that there was bombings coming. So depending on how long it took someone to do that and then gather their things and find an escape route, that they were left with that much time. 1.1 million people were left with that much time. And I didn't even know dropping leaflets, dropping notes from the sky was something that we even did. I'd never even seen that before. But this was the evacuation plan. They dropped thousands of notes. So 1.1 million people need to evacuate this area in about 24 hours.
Israel has ordered 1.1 million people living in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south of the enclave within 24 hours. But the United Nations warns there will be devastating humanitarian consequences. On Thursday, Israel amassed more troops and military hardware on the border with Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to crush the Hamas military group after its ferocious attack last weekend.
עזה לא תיראה אותו הדבר. אנחנו נגיע למצב בו מי שהנהיג את עזה יוכה קשה, נפרק אותו. ומי שיישאר שם יבין היטב שדבר כזה לא עושים למדינת ישראל.
The intense military response to the surprise Hamas attack has left Palestinians isolated in Gaza. Israel has cut power and water supplies to the territory, home to over 2 million people. Palestinian officials say at least 1,500 people have been killed, a third of them children, in Israeli attacks. In his first public comments, the president of the Palestinian Authority called Thursday for an immediate end to aggression against Palestinians. During a meeting in Amman with King Abdul II of Jordan, Mahmoud Abbas rejected practices that consist of killing or abusing civilians in either camp. He also called for the release of civilian prisoners and detainees.
So the question is, what are we going to do now? Are we going to get involved more than we already are? Well, the question to that has already been answered. When asked, the response from the U.S. has been that no matter what Israel decides to do, we back them 100%. No matter what route Israel decides to go, the United States has their back 100%. And as long as the United States exists, Israel will always have us to defend them. That's what they had to say. Once the news of 700 children being killed recklessly, that is the response to 700 kids being killed recklessly. That's the response. These people are going to be slaughtered. And if you think that these 1.1 million people, even if they all manage to move to the very exact place that the Israel government is telling them to move to, do you honestly think they're not going to still find a way to torture these people in some way or just flat out kill them? They already told them to evacuate, and a lot of the people who are evacuating are being killed and bombed on the evacuation paths. On the roads they told them to go, they're being killed there. They're being killed in evacuation convoys. So it doesn't matter. That's the message here. They're sending these leaflets. They're doing all this. This is all theater. They're going to unleash so much terror on these people, like they already are. And we have to do something to stop it. We have to intervene. The message cannot be that we stand behind them 100%.